Hey guys, Primal Chaos here. Welcome to the channel. Now, this is obviously not my studio. I'm currently in the process of moving, which is why you haven't seen a lot of videos from me lately. But this one has been sort of in the works for a little while now. And honestly, the glasses have been sitting here in my possession for about a week, and it's been driving me crazy because I really want to unbox them and check them out. Just before we dive into it, I just want to run through just some housekeeping stuff. This video is going to contain a little bit of, who are Enchroma, what's my relationship with them, how the glasses work, things like that. So if you're already comfortable with that knowledge, if you know a bit about Enchroma, please feel free to use the chapter systems to jump through to the parts like, the actual reaction and the review of the glasses in general. But stick around if you're new, if you're thinking about looking into Enchroma glasses. I'll try to be as honest and upfront as I can be as a fan of the glasses. And yeah, let's dive right in. So fans of the channel will know I usually put an Enchroma ad on most of my videos. I've got, probably about 300 reaction videos now with Enchroma ads on them. And there's a very specific reason for that. As I am a colorblind person, it's a product that sort of speaks to me personally, and it's something that I care about. I was hesitant about putting ads on my videos to begin with. And when, my relationship with Enchroma accidentally sort of developed, I was like, well, we can do that. And I can use this as a vehicle to, generate some income for the channel, but also it's a product that I support as it speaks to me as somebody who suffers from colorblindness. So the backstory for me, a friend of mine offered to loan me a pair of the glasses to give them a try because I'd mentioned something online about it. And, I thought, okay, I'll document this process because I've seen, I think everybody at this point has seen those viral videos of people trying Enchroma glasses and seeing color for the first time and experiencing that and having these vivid and, existential almost reactions to them. And so I wanted some of that. So I borrowed the glasses. Interestingly enough, they were the wrong ones for me. He had dew tan glasses. I'm actually a strong pro tan, but, having tried those glasses, and sort of not having that visceral experience was kind of interesting. And I made a video about it, and I made a video about some of the effect it had because, dew tan and pro tan are fairly similar. So the glasses did actually have an effect. It just wasn't extreme. So I posted an honest appraisal of my reaction to the glasses on YouTube. Enchroma saw that video. And one thing I'll say about Enchroma is, and this is even in the literature they sent me for this reaction, this unboxing, is that they want honest and heartfelt reviews. They don't want over the top. They don't want faked experiences. They want honest and open videos because they don't want to give the consumer the wrong idea about what they're going to get from the glasses, because I think that just sets up everybody up for failure and disaster. If everybody expects to have that visceral experience, then, and a certain percentage of people just don't, then it's not good for them. But also, it even says in the literature that comes with the glasses, you may not have that experience. In fact, it seems to only be people who have, like more mild forms of the colorblindness will sort of have that experience. And so the instructions that come with the glasses sort of ask you to wear the glasses for at least 10 hours, like not in a row, but just over the course of a couple of days. Make sure you're wearing them all the time and your body adjusts to them and what they're performing as far as your vision goes. And what I noticed is initially when I put them on, I don't see much of a difference. But then over time, I start to notice things like, oh my God, that car looks like it's jumping out at me. And then, it might be this vivid, saturated fire engine red. And then when I take the glasses off and look at it, which they recommend don't do, especially at the beginning, then I'll look at it and it'll just look like a dark olive green. And so these cars have been driving past me my whole life and I just didn't know, right? And so that's part of the puzzle that is Enchroma. Sometimes you need to learn what's wrong with your vision. And I think the glasses are kind of a good tool for that, where they can show you, while they're not a cure for colorblindness, they won't increase your color vision to be that of a normal person. You won't pass an Ishihara colorblind test. It will demonstrate to you a little bit more of what everybody else is experiencing. And you'll notice it'll be in mostly colors that you're more highly deficient in. So for me, things like orange is my favorite color now. And what I didn't realize is what I saw as orange previously was more of like a mustardy kind of dull color. When you first see emergency orange for the first time, like a witch's hat cone or something like that, or, like a bright red like that, you understand why they're those colors, because if you're say a pro tan like myself, most of your color vision is skewing towards yellow. and you don't know it. Because when you've worn, the biggest impact for me is when I've worn the glasses for, say, an hour or so without thinking about it, because I just use them as my normal sunglasses now. Sometimes if I'm in an environment with a lot of color, I'll take the glasses off and understand just how much color vision I've lost by taking the glasses off. And that's kind of, you notice the deficit a lot of times more than you notice this amazing transition of color when you put them on. And I think that's really interesting. And as someone who's involved in art, and I do a lot of painting and things like that, many of you may not know that about me, it's crazy how much more I understand the relationship between colors. Theoretically, I know that certain colors recede and certain colors project depending, how you juxtapose and how you put them together. And I knew that theoretically, but until you see it when, you're looking at a bank of trees and you take the glasses off, and then all of a sudden what looks like this big three-dimensional vista will just suddenly shrink to feel very flat in 2D because you're losing the context of the different shades of green and the way that the color fall off happens as distance, like with light shifting towards the environment, like it gradually will shift to blue. That's why when you look at faraway mountains, they often appear blue. They're not. It's just the way that light works. And so when you see that sort of thing happen in real time when you take the glasses off, and the way colors, when they're not all a cast of yellow, how they relate to each other, it's pretty intense. And this is one of those things that if you just put the glasses on for 5-10 minutes and go, yeah, I'm not really seeing much, that balloon looks a little bit brighter, but we've all put on glasses with a tinted lens or something like that and seen things look different. It's those fundamental sort of things that the glasses show you, particularly over time.
So over there in the distance, you've got definite foreground, middle ground, and then background as far as the mountains go. And there's a natural fall off of the greens that happen the further away you get. And without the glasses, what I'm seeing is this midground here, because it gets so dull, it really blends into this background through here. Without the glasses on. And so you lose that depth perception. When I put the glasses on, all of a sudden I see everything staged the way that it's supposed to be along that distance. And it's just interesting. It's something I never really noticed before. I noticed it once looking at some trees with my old glasses, but it's just one of those things that people don't talk about in videos that, about Enchroma. For me, a lot of it is that depth perception. And as I mentioned it as well with the indoor glasses, I noticed it in really colorful video games where, you take them off and everything suddenly looks two-dimensional and flat because the people who've chosen those colors have chosen them very specifically to give the impression of depth, particularly in 2D games. But yeah, it's really interesting. And also, again, welcome to Australia.
I think that's the best way to describe it, at least for me. And again, I'm a strong Pro 10, which means that my color deficiency is pretty remarkable. If you're a person whose vision is only affected in a limited capacity, the glasses will probably do a great job of giving you that experience, right? Now, a lot of people don't understand what the glasses are actually doing. And I think a lot of people think that it's just maybe like a red filter or something on there, because sometimes you put the glasses on, especially for a person with accurate vision, color vision, they'll put the glasses on and they'll just see everything looking like they're looking through red cellophane, like a red screen or something like that, at least when they put my glasses on. And so what the glasses are doing is, at least to my understanding, and I'm not a scientist, I don't work for Enchroma, but the way it was described to me by someone far smarter than me was that it works like a notch filter where there's certain, if you think of the color spectrum, there's certain elements of that spectrum that you don't see particularly well. You have a deficit. For me, it's in the reds. The reds dip way down, and that's why pinks look gray, reds look really muted and washed out. And their relationship with other colors, like if you mix red and blue together, usually it makes purple. I just see the blue, right? That's why we confuse purple and blue. And so what these glasses are doing is they know where those deficits sit for your type of color blindness, and they filter everything else and attenuate those frequencies down to roughly the same level as your deficiency of, say, for example, your red vision, right? And your eyes work in such a way that they have a great dynamic range. This is why we can see in low light really well, reasonably well, all the way through to bright light, because our eyes adjust dynamically to those lighting conditions. And so when everything is muted, our eyes automatically boost the entire color spectrum back up to where it would normally be. And then we see all of the color spectrum outside of red about at the same gain as, you know, the red we normally have a deficit. It evens out that curve. And so that's why all of a sudden, you know, the reds and stuff will start to fit into the environment better, and we'll see things the way they're supposed to be. Now, if anybody knows better than me, correct me in the comments, because this is my understanding. It may not be completely accurate. I've mentioned this on Enchroma videos before, and they've never said anything to me, so I'm assuming it's fairly accurate. So that's basically how the glasses work. But I think the important thing to understand about how Enchroma approaches videos like this, and also reaction videos of, you know, someone gifting glasses to a loved one or something, is that they also like to balance expectations. So like I said, in the materials they gave me, one of the core stipulations was we want to see accurate video. So if you see nothing, post the video. We don't care. If you have a mild experience, post the video. If you have an extreme reaction, we'd love to see it as long as it's honest. I think, you know, as far as like consumer trust in a company, and this is something you don't see. This is something they're sending to me as someone who's going to unbox these glasses and make videos about it. I think it's really important for having faith in a company, you know, and there are people out there who've had bad experiences with Enchroma or didn't have a reaction, and they're very vocal about it. And for me, the negative aspect of that is like, I'm sorry that they didn't have a great experience. I've had a great experience. And I think the fact that their experience costs other people the opportunity to experience their own journey with the glasses, I think is a little bit sort of, is a little bit unfair. And that's why I always try to be as brutally honest as I can be. And I want you all to know that for me, I'm not the guy who gets those extreme visual reactions. But over time, I've learned to adapt to the glasses. I gave them the appropriate amount of time to really understand what they're giving me and how they're helping me. And as a result of that, I think I've grown as not only an artist, but as somebody who can understand and communicate my color deficiency to normal-sighted people a lot better as well. And that's interesting. For me personally, colorblindness is one of those things that has always felt like I was never embarrassed about it. Anytime people make fun of it, I always take it on board as being humorous and whatever. I mean, there's plenty of worse things that you could have wrong with you, right? And so for me, I like to think of myself as a colorblind educator. I always have the chromatic vision simulator app on my phone ready to go. If someone has questions, I'm like, look, I can show you exactly how I see. And you bring up the camera, you hit Pro-Tan, and you point the camera at something, and they go, oh my God, food looks awful, you know, or, oh, that color is completely wrong. Or I can understand how you see that as blue when I see it as purple, you know, and that's really valuable. But as someone who likes to communicate those ideas to people and generate understanding of this condition that we have, you know, it's important that we have these tools and have the knowledge to communicate those ideas as best we can. But now I'm done sitting around. I need to bust these glasses open. So I currently have the Eton glasses, those frames. I opted for these. They're not particularly the style I would typically choose, but I opted for them because I have kind of a big head. outside of just, you know, I kind of have a big head. So these are a wider frame. So when I put them on, they fit me. It's not the aesthetic I would typically choose, but like I said, I love these glasses and I wear them every day. I choose these glasses over pretty much anything else because of what they give me in return, you know? And so that said, these are great glasses. There's probably a lot of people out there whose taste matches these, but for me, I like something a little bit bigger. Anyway, there we go. So let's get into the California frames. That's what I'm unboxing here today. They've sent them to me in my strong Pro-Tan and Polarized. And the idea of this video was I actually inquired about these a couple of years ago, and they said, sure, we'd love you to make a video. We love your videos. We can't ship to Australia yet. We haven't got them in Australia. They've been in America for a long time. And it just occurred to me the other day, I haven't talked to them in a while. And I said, hey, can we get those here now? And 2 or 3 days later, here they are. And honestly, I can't wait. I've been hanging out to try these out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to unbox them. I'm not going to wear them because I want to go outside and put them on in a sunny environment and really get a feel for what I've got in my hands, right? It would be remiss of me to not have that experience outside in the world with sunlight, right? So here we go. This is what I was talking about earlier. They want you to test the glasses outside. They work best outside. There are indoor lenses. For me personally, I found them to be a little bit less intense of an effect, but again, they're not in strong Pro-Tan, so it could be that. I did find them to be interesting when playing very vivid colored video games. I found that they added a lot of depth perception, which I wasn't aware I was missing. But moving on, wear your glasses for at least 10 to 15 minutes to start and for 10 plus hours over 3 weeks to see the best results. And I can't recommend that enough. You've got a long return period. If you feel like if it's not happening for you, if you've given it a solid run, then you can return them. But I guarantee you'll see more of a benefit if you let the glasses do their work over time. Everyone is unique, not experienced, not working as expected. Again, take your time and ensure that the lens type matches your online colorblind test result. That's really important. As I said earlier, I originally started out with Dutan lenses, which didn't have a great effect. When I got my Pro-Tan lenses, I immediately started to notice things that weren't as obvious the first time around. And so it's really important that you do the test. I would suggest doing the test on a great screen, like an iPhone Retina display or something that, is reasonably calibrated, so that because obviously that's going to make a difference. If you're looking at it on an old computer monitor, it may not be the best experience. Find a good phone or something with a great display so that you're getting an accurate test. And look, they're saying, hey, don't forget to make a video and tag us, right? There's the hashtags. Let's have a look. So you get given a case with every pair of Enchroma, and to be honest, these are several years old, and they look basically just like I just bought them. And that's because I always keep them in the case. And honestly, I've dropped these a number of times. Look, there's some marks on them. Oh no, that comes off. There you go. They look brand new. You get some colored balloons, which I recommend blowing up and using as part of the experience. You get a bag, I believe, which works also as a polishing cloth as well. It's a beautiful microfiber material. You also get a microfiber cloth as well. Everything is vividly colored as you'd expect. There you go. And that's perfect to keep in the case for just rubbing the lenses when you need to. TX Lenses series, instructions for use. Right, so that's all of your literature for, basic general instructions, but also legal stuff in an abundance of languages. Read at your own peril. So let's put these away and let's get into the actual glasses. I can't tell you how excited I am for this. I've been walking past this box now for a week going, any day. Okay. Oh, interesting. And there they are. So these are the California frame. Now you'll notice because I have the strong Pro-Tan lenses, they do have depending on what angle you're looking at it from, I'm assuming a bluey reddy kind of a hue, particularly from the back. So let me see. Yeah, there's definitely, it's a smoky sort of a hue. It changes color depending on which way you're looking at it. I think there's a little bit of a purple tinge to it. Again, colors are interesting. One thing, a personal anecdote of mine, is sometimes I wonder if people with normal color vision have as good an understanding of color as I do, because for me, I've always had to understand color without seeing color. And so oftentimes when I ask somebody, hey, what color is that? You don't get a straight answer. You get a different answer from everybody you ask, because the spectrum is so broad that sometimes it's hard to nail down exactly what you're looking at. And, that was something that I always felt was a me issue, right? I'm like, I don't know if that's blue or purple or something in between. But then you find the more you think about it, the more you ask people that question, you get answers like, it's kind of a bluey green, or it's like a seafoam green. I'm like, what is that? And so when you get the glasses, all of a sudden it's on you to learn when you look at these colors what they are. I found very quickly going through a nursery looking at flowers that I didn't know what purple was, because I was pointing at all of these flowers going, hey, that's purple. And that goes, no, that's pink. And so I'm like, okay, then I don't know what purple is. That's what I assumed purple has always looked like, and it doesn't. So you got to relearn, you got to recalibrate. So these feel really nice. They're super lightweight. They're a gloss plastic finish, which I kind of like. I love these sort of little details on the side here. The action of opening them up feels nice and secure. There's no snap or spring-loaded anything, but they feel good. They feel lightweight though. I think something a lot of glasses get wrong is that they trade weight for feel quality. It's the same thing with a lot of headsets, headphones and things like that. Old school mentality is if they feel heavy, they feel quality. But there's so many new materials now and composite plastics and stuff like that you can get something that's super lightweight but also high quality and strong and rugged. So I honestly don't feel like I'm going to have any problems with these. They're a little bit They're definitely heavier than these, but they would be because they're larger. As far as the width goes, it looks like they are roughly the same, which is kind of what I was hoping for. So I should be able to wear these no problem. All right, so let's get outside and give these guys a test run. Okay, so I came out to the most colourful place I could find. Welcome to Australia. Man, there's beautiful rolling hills over there. I've got to show you in a minute, but I thought the best thing to do first would be to check out my regular glasses, because really, I know what the effects of the strong Pro-Tan lenses are, so this is really, for me, going to be more of an experience about the polarization. Maybe going to the water or something might have been a better option, but you know, this is what I got, so I'm gonna check it out. There's a lot of glare up there, like you can see from the shadows. It's late in the afternoon here, 3:50 in the afternoon, and so I'm gonna give it a red hot go with the standard lenses and just see if I can figure out what the difference is, why it's worth maybe upgrading to polarized if you're sort of thinking about it. So these are my Eatons. Okay, so I'm fairly used to this. It cuts out a fair bit of glare from the sun. I can look in that direction now a little bit more comfortably. I still feel like I'm still squinting a little bit, like I would be with any glasses, because I'm staring pretty much straight at the sun there. But you know, as far as the color goes, I'm very used to these glasses, and there's a richness in the grass now. It feels like there's a lot more body to the greenness of the grass. And you know, when I take them off, all of a sudden the grass looks yellow. It really does. And it's funny because you know that grass is green. And when you put the glasses on, suddenly there's a depth and a richness to it that sort of shifts it from that yellowiness to more of like what you expect to see from, like, you know, when you look at like a really rich leaf, you know, or something like that, that's like a waxy kind of a deep green leaf. It feels more like that. And, you know, when I take the glasses off, you can just feel it skew back to yellow, you know, and there's no depth to it because there's not all of these different hues of green sort of merged together, showing you all this depth and character. It's just all yellow, you know. The texture's obviously there, but the glasses provide a little bit more contrast because they just do. But you know, that greenness sort of really comes through. I thought I'd check out some of these as well. This should be part of your experience as well. They send you these balloons, obviously for a reason, mostly because they show up really nicely for people, you know, like you know, if you're gifting the glasses to somebody, you want something for them to look at. And most environments don't have all of these different hues just naturally lying around. So if I look at the glasses, so if I look at these balloons with the glasses, yeah, I mean, it's obvious. You got purple and blue, and without the glasses, they're two of the same color. That purple and blue is the same, but I can easily identify which is which with the glasses on. That's most certainly purple. Orange looks so beautiful, like the richness of the orange. Green, you know, I mean, I've seen that green before because my deficiency isn't really green. But what I do notice is without it, it becomes more yellow. And I mean, red is red, right? Like, good God, you forget. This looks like fire engine red, right? It's this vivid primary red. And then when I take the glasses off, it just looks like this awful drab, almost like an olive green. It's because I'm seeing more of the yellow. Now I know without the glasses, if I pick this if I pick this balloon up, I'd know that it's red, and I'd be like, yeah, that's red, you know, blah blah blah. And I think your instinct is to feel like you see it the same way everyone else does, but you don't. And then when you put this on, and suddenly it's neon. It's just mind blowing. And this is the kind of experience I never had initially. You know, it's over time I've sort of adjusted to the glasses, but I think maybe potentially if I'd have sort of utilized this experience a little bit more and seen exactly what's going on, even though the instructions say don't compare, let the glasses work for you for a while. Like I said, I'm very experienced with them, so for me it doesn't affect me to just switch between and just see the difference, you know. So now I'm going to check out the polarized lenses just to see if I can spot a difference, right? There should be, I'm expecting a difference in contrast, hopefully some better color representation because, you know, the light is being attenuated more cleanly through the polarized lenses and therefore should maybe potentially have a better effect. I don't know if that's the case, but that's my intuition. Let's see how that pans out. California polarized lenses, strong Pro-Tan. Let's do it. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Well, the first thing I notice is I'm not squinting. So the polarization works. Obviously, if I look directly at the sun, I'm not looking directly at the sun, don't panic, but I'm looking at the ground below where the sun is setting. And I can do it without squinting. I mean, obviously it's bright, but immediately the fatigue in my eyes is lessened. So yeah, I can see that that's definitely doing something. As far as the color experience, well, let me have another look at these. Yeah, it's kind of as I expected. The color representation on the Etons with the regular strong protan lenses is good. So there's not that big a difference between them. Like I can obviously still tell, purple from blue and things like that, but it's more that the quality of light is better, and so there is a subtle difference. I would say that if you're on the more of the end of the spectrum with less of a deficit, I'd say the difference would be more dramatic, but it's not like this black and white difference between, the color representation with the regular lenses versus the polarized lenses. But what I'm experiencing is I'm getting a better quality filtered light, and therefore the colors look a little bit more pleasant, maybe a little bit more vibrant, because it's removing so much glare from the spectrum. It's just better. It's like looking at a TV with HDR versus a TV, that's just 4K. It's there's a depth to color just simply because the quality of light's better, and that's kind of what I was expecting, what I was hoping. I hope these frames suit me a little bit better. I like a bigger sort of frame, so these look good. Man, this has been great. Let me show you what I'm looking at over here, just so you can get an idea. It's beautiful landscape that's not too far from my place. Maybe I should come out here and walk. Just one thing I wanted to check with the other lenses before I moved on. My first reaction was I felt like the sky looked bluer. And I mean, my experience with polarized glasses, I haven't had a pair for years and years, but I do remember things like the sky, using polarizing filters on cameras as well. There's a richness and a deepness to the blue in the sky. And of course, blue I'm not affected visually with my deficiency with blue, but compared to the Etons, there's a little bit more richness in the blue in the sky as well. Oh, for sure. Wow, for sure, yeah. I think what it's doing is removing some of that glare that's surrounding the sun over there and letting the blue from the sky really shine through. There's not as much depth to the clouds and the blueness in the sky without the polarization. Wow, that looks beautiful. Huh. Man. I'm really glad I did this now. Just want to say a big thank you to Enchroma, obviously, for hooking me up with the glasses. Like I said, don't think for a second that that's affected anything I'm telling you. Colorblindness is a real issue for me, and educating people on the realities of it and what it is. It's so misunderstood by the general public. The more people who can understand what it is that we do, as opposed to just thinking we see in black and white, or we can't see a particular color. I mean, that's fairly true, but it's not accurate, right? So yeah, but for me, this is about giving you my personal experience. You're going to have a different one. Everybody's eyes are different. All I can recommend is that if you do invest in Enchroma glasses, and sure, they are in the upper end of pricing as far as things like this go, glasses and whatnot. So it is a sound investment. Just know that there is a return policy, right? I think it's 6 weeks or something like that. Within 6 weeks, if you're not feeling it, then just send them back. It's no big deal. Of course, Enchroma is not paying me for this. They did provide these glasses, and I get to keep these. So that is something to keep in mind. But like I said, I think by now you should understand who I am, and I'm giving you my honest opinion. As far as what I do, I usually do reaction videos. If you're coming across this video and you're not familiar with who I am, I do music reaction videos. Check them out if you love music. But also this sort of stuff does keep the channel moving. If you do decide to experiment with some Enchroma glasses, please click the link in the description. It'll take you through to Enchroma's website, and I'll get some cash on the back end for that as well. But yeah, test it out, try it out. You got nothing to lose. 6 weeks. Return the glasses if you're not feeling it. No harm, no foul. Wow, this is really cool. Beautiful lighting right now. So anyway, guys, I'm Primal Chaos. Thank you so much for checking and sticking it out for this long. This is a long video, and I'll catch you on the next one. So I just got to drop this one in. My partner just told me to come outside and put my glasses on. Wow. That may be the strongest rainbow I think I've ever seen. When I look at it with my glasses on, I can definitely see more bands of color. You know, I mean, most people will tell you with color blindness, usually you see a blue and a yellow stripe. And, you know, to me, that was always the way a rainbow was. Like, I always thought it was, when people described a rainbow of colors, it was like a theoretical example of what a rainbow looks like. But I was told that people can actually make out all the distinct shades of the spectrum. And with the glasses on, I can definitely make out sort of more, you know, I mean, I don't even know what to call the colors, but there's more of an array. You can see it sort of blending from one into the other more than just two stripes. And that's pretty beautiful. And I don't know, I think maybe the polarizing helps with that as well, because it's actually pretty bright when you look over that way. The camera does a pretty good job of sort of making it more contrasty, which is kind of true to how I'm seeing it with the glasses on. But yeah, wow, that's pretty spectacular. It's a double rainbow. Double rainbow!